Hey there, welcome to another episode of Star Wars Minute. It's your daily podcast where we analyze, we scrutinize, and we celebrate the rise of Skywalker 1 minute at a time. I'm Alex Robinson from alexrobinson.fun.
I'm Pete the Retailer from PeteTheRetailer.com.
And today we're talking about minute 139 of the rise of Skywalker. We are, shoulders deep in the credits at this point?
Yeah, the end is on the horizon.
Yeah. Anyway, minute 139 starts off with a credit to Ram Krishna Bajpai, and it ends a minute later, teasing the credit for CFX model paint finishers. Don't see who they are, but we know that job's going to be credited in minute 140. We assume it's going to be credited in minute 140. This was the first credits minute where the music, maybe because the credits themselves were less interesting, at least to me, I noticed the music a lot more during this minute.
Okay.
Also, I feel like they do kind of like a medley of greatest hits so maybe that's a lot of music I was able to recognize from previous films.
Yeah, I think we joked last week that it was like, now that's what I call Star Wars, because they just kind of...
Yeah.
They're like, all right, we'll just play it all over here. We got 7 minutes and more. We got, right, nine minutes to fill.
Yeah. Hooked on Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So the music, it continues to baffle me that the musicians are not credited as part of the production. Like every 2-bit, carpenter and the vice president of sales and everything gets mentioned, and yet nothing for the musicians. I guess they need a better union.
Well,
yeah.
I
did find out that it was a 102-piece orchestra, and the choir is credited 100 voice Los Angeles Master Choir. The choir gets credited, not the music.
Not individually though, do they?
No, not individually. No, just as an organization. But it's not even.
Doesn't it say with the London Symphony Orchestra or something like that?
No, it just says
who plays it.
It does not credit a specific.
Maybe at the end we'll see it.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm holding out hope.
There's a post-credit scene where the musicians all come out and take a bow individually, one by one.
Right. Yeah.
So, you got anything else? Well, speaking of the music, do you think my wife is a tennis official? That's not the question.
I do think your wife is a tennis
You're correct.
Tennis official.
My wife is a tennis umpire, in tennis games, and one of the side effects of this is when she watches tennis now, she never watches the game. She's always watching the other umpires to see if they're have the right form and all that stuff. Do you think musicians? I should ask Chrysanthi this: if musicians like listen for their parts in the music, like, oh, this is the big A minor part. This is the, you know what I mean? Is it like a distraction? Or they're like, oh, I missed that one, or it's too low in the mix, or whatever.
I will offer my as somebody who was in a high school production of The Music Man. I do tend to listen to other Winthrops and kind of judge them, but. Or what was the other part that I don't know. There's probably there's some of that, but not. Or even you get that, I guess, seeing, not to turn it back into musical theater minute, but seeing different people play different parts over time, and you're like, oh, he did that differently than the other person did that, and so it's like, I guess it's like cover songs in a sense.
Yeah.
But here it's like you're covering new, it's like new stuff. So you know what, unless they're playing if they're playing like Star Wars theme, or like the Imperial March or something like that.
Compare with the other versions.
Yeah.
And finally, since this is our last crack at this, I thought we could share some of our favorite musical things from all 11 movies. 11, if you want to say your favorites or.
Well, I do have. I'll get to my list of Pete's. I'll save that for the end. I do have one non-Pete credit that related to this. Okay. The recordist. Recordist, I'm assuming, is somebody who's, putting out microphones and hitting record, not somebody who's like, boop, 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 like playing the recorder. But the recordist for this is Luke Schwartzweiler. And I'm wondering if he had to at least once be like, like, I'm Luke Schwartzwelder, I'm here to record you or something,
I
like
like it.
if like did he do some Luke Skywalker kind of like things, or is he like totally not? Is this just a job for him? And he's like, what? One of the characters? Okay.
Yeah, he either plays up on it or he's really sick of other people playing up on it.
Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Luke Skywalker. I never heard that one before.
But yes, I guess it's now I'm picturing the hopeful story is that, it's his dream.
Yeah.
That he loved Star Wars because of that. Like he was always like, he got to play Luke Skywalker on the playground when he was a kid.
Yeah.
And then eventually grew up, got into, recording, and then they're like, hey, do you want to record the new Star Wars? He's like, yes, finally.
I'm going to go you one farther. I'll say he actually had a different name, but then legally changed his name to Luke because he loved Star Wars so much. And so he was super excited to even just be the recordist for this production. He was psyched.
Wow.
So
yeah, I wonder if that did Luke Schwartzwelder. I wonder if Luke Schwartzwelder got to record Luke Skywalker. And side note, do you think that he refers to this film as the rise of Schwartzwelder?
It depends. Is this his like first movie, or is this like the end of the line for him? It could be the last Schwartzwelder, or the revenge of Schwartzwelder.
Oh, there you go. Let's see. Think of pieces of music that you got your we talked about it a little bit last week. That I feel like the main theme, and to a certain extent the Imperial March, almost seem like novelty songs at this point because they're so overplayed. If you can get a like a birthday card that plays that song when you open it, I think it's a little bit overdone. But yeah, I'm trying to think of what I've been really appreciating. I think I've mentioned the kind of, speaking of recorders, the ukulele force, the ukulele covers of music, Star Wars music, that album, and that hearing a cover sometimes makes you appreciate things in the original, and so I feel like that. Not that I didn't appreciate, what's the Obi-Wan theme and the Princess Leia's theme. Well, Princess Leia's theme, I feel like, so the Obi-Wan theme, I feel like I got a deeper appreciation for a little bit, maybe older. From the ukulele for her. But Princess Leia's theme definitely, like we had talked about it last season, that it, even thinking about it now almost makes me a little bit teary with thinking of it, like, for our princess with the little, Princess Leia music over it, under it, whatever.
Yeah.
And of course, Here They Come, kind of the music from the escaping from the Death Star part of the motion picture.
Here they come.
Right. But that and then newer stuff too. I mean, Rey's theme, obviously, we've talked about that. I like the simplicity of the kind of Kylo Ren's, theme. Phantom Menace had some good, things. I love the Phantom Menace soundtrack. I do. It's a good, it's something that,
Duel of the Fates.
We brought up, I think at the time that somebody who was doing their job quite well still during that era was John Williams.
Yeah.
So there's definitely good stuff musically from the prequels.
Yeah, I think my...
Although, go ahead, because I was going to say, the you might know better the later... I'm just thinking about the Phantom Menace. I can't think of other pieces of music from the Attack of the Clones or the Rise of Skywalker or the Revenge of the Sith. But
yeah, I was going to say my favorite piece from the Duel of Fates, obviously, is good. And but I think my second favorite part is the scene in Revenge of the Sith where it's I think it's right before Order 66. Where you shows Anakin kind of brooding, and there's just like very Eastern sounding kind of music, and it has like a choir behind it and stuff. It was very unusual for Star Wars music, I thought, and I think that's why. And also there's no diegetic sound. It's just kind of just the music with no, it's almost like a silent movie more than anything else.
Oh right, yeah, I remember that clip.
Yeah, and I think that was. But of course, staring at the French horns. That's the.
Right, sure.
The iconic one.
Yeah, lots of good choices.
Yeah.
And even the on-screen, songs too are all
Yeah.
really good for the most part there.
Well, so I know you're kind of over the Imperial March. The Imperial March is sort of it's the Boba Fett of it's like so it was cool at first and now
In a
it's so
sense.
overused that it's like okay,
Yeah.
it's hard to hear it fresh and
But as we said last week, it is still really good.
Yeah.
It's you go back and you're like, oh no, it is really good. But it's also
How would you rank the Cantina song? Do you think it's
which one?
No. Well, come on, the Cantina song,
Right.
not the Cantina number 2 or what I forget what they call the name of it. It's like Missing You or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Anyway, but although I do like that one too. But what the classic Cantina song? Do you think it's good?
Yeah,
I
feel like
cliche.
I mean, it is really good, but it's also cliche. It's also it fits in the same category. I say main theme, Cantina song, Imperial March.
Yeah,
those are the greeting card songs.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard to get around. That they're so overplayed, but they are also really good.
Yeah, I guess the Cantina one is definitely a greeting card level song.
Yeah. Although I will go, so fresh take on it. The go listen to Ukulele Force. Listen to the I know you have, but listeners at home, go listen to Ukulele Force. Listen to the Imperial March on that because they do a much they deconstruct it in a way.
Yeah,
and they do that more so than I don't it's turning into bizarre albums, but
again
the Empire Jazz version of the Imperial March not as much. Because it's a little more straightforward, and it was recorded more or less, at the time, it was within a year I think of Empire coming out, so it was fresh still.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
They're also
still good.
I recommend if you're looking for some Star Wars novelty music. There was an album called Cocktails at the Cantina. I think they're called the Evil Genius Orchestra, and they did an album came out in the 90s when lounge music was starting to have a big revival, and they do some good, fun versions of Star Wars music.
You ready for Pete's?
Let's have the roll call of Pete's.
Now, we have a lot. I think this is the most, out of any minute, this is the most Pete's in the credits.
Wow.
And it is odd because it goes, yesterday we had a little, variety. Today it's just kind of like, I was excited. We had a roll. It was all just Peters. No Pete's, no variations, no linguistic variants, just all Peter. But then at the end, it'll break the streak a little bit, break it up a little bit, get a little less formal. We'll see. Let's start with additional music editor.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Miles, Myles.
That's the classier one.
Charge hand electrical rigger. One of them is Peter Armstrong.
Charge hand electrical rigger.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what that is?
I'm assuming that's they hooked up the battery to Daisy Ridley's hand so she could charge hand. They rigged the electric so she can shock.
Charge hand, I get it.
Mm-hmm. Rigging desk operators. One of them was Peter Gilmore.
Desk operator.
Yeah, doesn't take much to operate a desk, but I'm assuming that they were like the rigging equipment, the electricity equipment was all like behind a desk, and the people who need it, they're basically keeping tabs of the equipment as it comes and goes, where it is, where it's being.
Oh, really? That's what you think of it?
I don't know. That's what I'm assuming.
I was thinking of it almost more like a soundboard kind of thing. Like, get behind the rigging desk, and he can manipulate all the
lights.
I like your version of it better, though. It's much more mundane. It's like the AV club. I want to check out the Claude costume. He's like, all right, here you go. Have it back by Tuesday. Make sure it's clean.
So speaking of costumes, supervising dressing props. Peter Watson. Supervising dressing props.
Even the props have costume people assigned to them.
Right.
It's crazy.
Supervising production modelers, set decoration. There's different categories here. There's set decoration, supervising prop modelers, Peter Lee.
Peter Lee.
ADV. What did I say? Advanced? No. What was that?
Advanced Idea Mechanics?
Why did I write ADV?
Additional dialogue?
Advanced prop modelers? I don't know.
Digital video?
Well, now I'm concerned. I'm like, what did I? Because this is our friend of the show, former guest of the show, somebody we check in on once in a while. Prop modeler weapons, Peter Fielding listed here. Pete is normally a Pete Fielding. I think it's Pete Fielding Props is his account, his domain name perhaps. Yeah. I know it's his Instagram, I think. But here is Peter Fielding. Now, what made you upgrade, Pete?
Yeah.
Let me know. Did you get the same thing as Chelsea did? Oh, that didn't happen yet.
Maybe he got like, he went from being Jimmy to just Jim. Like, it's kind of like he's older now, so he just wants to go by Peter and not Pete. Petey.
Well, I mean, I've talked about this before when I go, I always say Peter when I'm introducing myself because it is harder to get confused with other things.
As opposed to Pete.
Other time, like
Pete.
I say Pete, people think I'm saying Keith or Steve or all kinds of other things. Like I've gotten the weirdest,
Well, yeah, my name.
Right. Or they'll come back and they'll be like, oh yeah, Paul or they'll Phil, they'll come back with like, if I add the two syllables, and it's like, oh right, Peter is a thing.
Have you ever thought about going by Peter the retailer? Doesn't have the same.
Peter the retail, but that's weird. Speaking, I think we've brought this guy up before.
Yeah.
Speaking of Peters, another ADV. Advanced? No, I don't know. What could ADV stand for? I could look it back up, but
I'll look it up while you're looking up DV. You're telling us about the next Pete.
Sorry, Pete. ADV prop modelers, set decoration. We're back to set decoration. We had weapons, set decoration, two different completely things. So Pete Fielding's counterpart in set decoration department, Peter Sellers. We've talked about this before. Sellers with an A though, Sellars. So not the Pink Panther, not Inspector Clouseau.
We have. What does ADV stand for?
Well, it's not abbreviated in the credits. So I could just look in the credits to see what.
Okay. This one says AD Vision is an American international multimedia entertainment company that does.
They did manga stuff, didn't they?
The abbreviation AD stands for animation dubbing. So that would make sense. They probably like an overdubbing house that did
anime.
Yeah.
All right, I looked it up. It is advanced after all, so it's not advanced.
Advanced Idea Mechanics.
Anime. It is These the advanced prop modeler. So he's not a. He's been in a couple of these Pete Fieldings. So he's an advanced prop modeler. I'd vouch for that. And yeah, Peter Sellers, set decoration. Advanced prop modelers, set decoration.
And another person who probably gets teased about his name a lot.
Yeah, you should go hang out with Luke Schwartzweiler. We got a last name coming in here, but with a really cool title. Action Vehicles Charge Hand.
That's funny. Was that a Pete?
Carl Peters.
Oh, Carl Peters. I was just saying one of the fun jobs I wrote down was Action Vehicles Fabrication. Like they're ones who build the thing.
Yeah, the action vehicles.
That must be a cool. I imagine the people who are doing that like their job.
Yeah. I mean, I would imagine most of these people like their job. There's certain, I don't know. I'd say the people who are actually out there building stuff and doing things on set enjoy their jobs. Maybe some of the other, we've heard a lot about kind of crunch time digital stuff that people are being, treated unfairly.
The digital artists forget about it. A lot of
digital
them
effects houses
probably don't like their job. They're putting their
slumped
time
over a computer. Some of them do.
Yeah,
some of them do. But yeah, that
they're putting in their time to climb up the ladder.
Right. Meanwhile, these guys are out here building a ladder.
Yeah.
Is this? I wrote SFX engineers. That special effects, sound effects. Sound effects engineers. Special effects engineers. Peter Windle. Mm-hmm. And then the Peters are over. Like this is all Peters. This is a lot of representation here. These are all Peters. Great. And then we get fire officers.
Oh,
Pete Mawhood.
Wow.
Now,
Officer Pete.
Fire officer. Yeah, that's like if you're a fireman, you're probably going to be a Pete rather than a Peter.
Yeah.
I'm not to generalize, but that's as a Pete, I can say that.
Yeah.
And then creature effects key animatronic designers. One of them is Pete Hawkins.
That's a cool name.
Young Pete Hawkins. From the Admiral Benbow Inn. But yeah, that's a good, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, including one last namer.
Wow.
I think that's the most Pete's we've had in a minute, or will have in a minute.
You should look this up for tomorrow, but you should find out what movie has the most Pete's involved in it.
I don't know. That might be out of our purview.
It's implied in our mandate, but if you don't want to do it, I understand.
Well, no. All right.
The other one I thought was cool is Pip Fox. That's a cool name unto itself.
Yeah.
And then weapons supervisor. I'm weapons supervisor Pip Fox. It sounds.
Well, I'm picturing like Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah, that does make it. That's the DC version of Rocket Raccoon.
Right. Pip Fox, weapons supervisor. Oh yeah, this will blow him up. Good.
Who would do the voice of that character?
Yeah, who's the DC version of Bradley Cooper?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't even think of Was Channing Tatum still a thing? He's not at that. He's a different level of thing. I mean, he's a different.
No.
He's more of like a Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, but I would say that's close. Because he's like a handsome but funny.
Right.
Let's go with Channing Tatum.
All right, let's go.
He is.
I'll drive.
All right. Are we going on a? I can't remember the name. What was the name of the movie when they went to Vegas? The Hangover.
Yeah.
So, anywho. Well, do we have any time for any more IMDb trivia?
Sure. Why don't you hit us with one?
Okay, just one. Let's see what we have here. Here's something kind of fun. The Maz Kanata, who shows up in this movie, not a CGI creation. She is in fact a practical puppet on set, and it wasn't her on the green screen this time. I guess because she doesn't really do very much. It was an animatronic. What's that?
At all? That's interesting.
That's what it says here. The 94 custom gears and servos inside her. You know that Neil Scanlon. He's a
he fools me all the time.
Yeah. And it's weird because there was a scene in it where Maz is looking over her Princess Leia, and I said that looks very puppety in that scene. But I was like, well, it's not obviously, but and then lo and behold, it is a puppet, and yeah. So there you go, Maz Kanata. I guess it was just easier to make a puppet than it is to digitally go through all that trouble if she's just basically standing in one spot and handing Chewie a medal. That's all she kind of does. So
I wonder how much. I mean, we saw her kind of. We've seen her in the motion capture suit.
Yeah.
So I wonder if how much then they just kind of. There's such a fluidity between media in the so you could have you can have something where they built a puppet and they scanned it and then made CG out of it, like in the Crystal Critters, or the opposite, where here it's we already have the computer model of it.
Yeah.
Let's just 3D print the pieces or something like that,
Oh, yeah. That could be.
And they can make a puppet out of it.
Yeah.
So
that's probably,
who knows?
Yeah. We'll never know, I guess. See, if this was the olden days, there would have been tons of behind the scenes documentaries showing us all these.
Well, fingers crossed. Once all the hurt feelings are healed, that then they'll come out with all kinds of behind the scenes stuff.
But even just
down the road
I can understand. Oh yeah, you don't want to go into Ron Howard and Lord Miller and that stuff, but I don't know why you couldn't go into how Borgullet was made. That doesn't seem like it would be anything.
Well, I think that opens up a can of worms with because I think that kind of Borgullet's inclusion and representation on screen was also part of the kind of weird.
Oh, really? Okay.
Last minute rush.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah, I guess until I know what is actually a sensitive subject, I guess I shouldn't really say. But I miss the days of getting to see 8 men crammed into a puppet. to operate a giant creature effect. And,
yeah. Well, they showed us that with the
Last Jedi. There was a bit some of that.
Yeah, but they had to seal those guys in there all day. Those poor.
Like Claude, come on, show us what's going on with Claude. Let's cut Claude open. Sweaty
Claude,
puppeteer tumbles out.
Little featurette on Claude.
Yeah.
And they cut him open and there's nobody inside. They're like, what?
Just blood, guts pouring out of him. Oh my god. Yeah, so that's it. That'll do it for today's IMDb trivia.
All right.
Trivia piece.
Trivium. The singular is a trivium.
You're right. There you go. Trivia. Anyway, I guess that will wrap up minute number 139. And now that we're getting close to the end, don't forget, Pete and I both have not solo podcasts we do with other people. Apart from
we had that too. We did have a solo podcast. It lasted 6 months.
Luckily, it's available on digital and Blu-ray now, so people don't.
Yeah,
But I am the co-host of Godfather Minute. We are somewhere in the 140s, coincidentally. This might be a bit of nice bit of crossing of the paths where the synchronicity, yes, and of Godfather 2. Pete, what's the status of ABCDTNG?
Well, I didn't say anything about that. What? No, we've done the original series, ABCDTOS, and we did all the original series episodes. We did all the original series movies, and now we're kicking the tires on maybe moving forward. So we'll see.
Okay,
keep an eye on that. And if you if you support us on Patreon, if you go back, you like the show, support us on Patreon because we do drop every month or two we'll drop a bonus episode there called Subspace Chatter, which is just kind of. It's kind of akin to Weekend Edition or Indiana Jones Minute Anything Goes. Kind of like it's a different crew, different vibe.
Yeah, less funny.
But it's kind of all over the place, just pop culture talk for with the same guys, and that's available over there, and we'll be back with something eventually, probably at abcdtos.com.
Yeah. Well, good. I hope that happens. And I hope everyone joins us tomorrow for another brand new credit-packed episode of Star Wars Minute.
Credit Star Wars Minute.